Greetings and salutations. I wasn't going to do this. I wasn't going to cover this story. Do you know why? I wasn't going to cover this story because I knew after years, friends, of following similar stories that this story would end with a big, fat, fantastic dud, right? I knew. I just knew. Call it a premonition. Call it a feeling. Call it knowing the track record of the idiots that run with stories like this. Having watched some of these UFO fraudster, huckster idiots for years run with stories like this, Galactic Federation story, former Israeli space security minister says aliens are real and Trump knows about it. Folks, we didn't cover this story here. And there's a reason why I didn't cover this story. It's because I knew that this story, once thoroughly vetted and investigated, would prove to be a big, fat, fucking nothing burger. And that's what this story has turned out to be, a big, fat, nothing burger. First of all, there's a great deal of dispute about what he actually said. And now the truth is revealed. Every article that quoted him misquoted him, apparently, because he didn't actually say that he believed that there were real aliens and there were a galactic council. What he said was his granddaughter told him that. And where did she get this pearl of knowledge, this incredible, groundbreaking, earth-shattering information that would change humanity? Where did she get that information? From Laura Eisenhower. For those that don't know, Laura Eisenhower has been speaking at UFO and alien conferences for probably a decade now. She first came out with a story claiming that she was invited to go live on a colony on Mars. Interestingly, she never provided any proof that there actually is a colony on Mars. Do you know why? Quite possibly because she's fucking crazy. That's why. Because she's fucking crazy and just made that story up. But since she has some connection to the actual Eisenhower family, I believe she is the great granddaughter, legitimately, of Eisenhower. General and president, one-time general and one-time president of the United States, Eisenhower. Doesn't give her a pass to sell people information like this without providing any kind of proof. So Laura Eisenhower, like many other of these UFO frauds, have talked about a galactic federation that the presidents know about. They've never provided a single solitary shred of proof of these claims. So the granddaughter of this Israeli space minister heard Laura Eisenhower talking about those aliens and that there's a galactic federation and Trump knew about it and told her grandfather that. And he was repeating this information when talking to a journalist. Then he's misquoted, and everyone runs with the story that he said that is true. Turns out, not so fast. Not so fast. He didn't say that. He didn't say it. His granddaughter said it to him, and he was repeating some things he had heard from his granddaughter. Folks, every UFO idiot out there is running with this story. From idiot Michael Salla, doctor. Is he a doctor? He's a doctor of bullshit. Michael Salla is a doctor of bullshit. Michael Salla's running with the story. See? The alien stories that I've been selling people with no evidence for decades now are real because an Israeli space minister said it. Former Israeli space minister said that it was true. Who else is running with this story? Oh, the usual idiots. Linda Moulton Howe, she's running with that, right? She loves shit like this. Look, aliens are real, bro. This guy said it. Even though he was misquoted and he didn't actually say any of this stuff, he was repeating something his granddaughter told him. Let's see. What other idiots running with this story? Corey Good. Look, I really am a secret space astronaut. I really was. He was a fucking ambassador. He was Earth's ambassador to that Galactic Space Federation of aliens, right? Yeah. And that guy saying this proves that I'm not just a fucking lunatic con man grifter that has been selling fake stories about being a fucking secret space astronaut for 5 years. Because that guy said it. That's proof that I'm telling the truth. No. One does not equal the other. This is ridiculous. And you know what? I'm so tired of these idiots running with these stories before there's any evidentiary support that the story is true. I'm so tired of these UFO fraudster idiots, most of which haven't had real jobs in a decade, right? They get to just tell alien bullshit stories for a living. They get to, hey, let's go to Hawaii. Let's swim with the dolphins, right? Let's take helicopter rides. Let's, live it up. Go on cruises, right? Go to Australia and tell our fake alien stories. Go to other countries. Go to South America. Go to Europe and tell our fake alien stories. It must be nice. But see, some of us require evidence. Some of us need the evidence before we start telling stories like this. They don't need any evidence. They never did. They don't have any evidence, and they never will. They never will. That's why I didn't cover this story, because I knew that this story was going to turn out to be a whole bunch of bullshit. And here we are, just a few days after this story broke, and every sensationalist asshole with a keyboard and a computer posted about this, or blogged about it, or did a live stream telling everybody how right they were about those aliens. Bullshit. It's bullshit. That's the gist of the story. It's bullshit. By the way, there's also been some discussion about the fact that that Israeli space minister is I believe he's 87 years old. Maybe suffering from dementia, some people have mentioned. Some have also mentioned that his family are not very happy with the journalists using him to sell sensational stories about aliens. Even the original author of the piece doesn't want to talk about those aliens anymore. Why is that? I'm so tired of these alien fraudsters, right? That call themselves, they all call themselves truth seekers. We're the truth seekers here. The real ones, you dummies. Because we don't just accept a story with no evidence. We ask for the evidence. We ask for verification of that evidence. We ask for corroboration of that evidence in order to get to the truth. But these assholes, they don't care. They don't care if the story is fake, as long as they got something to sell their latest victims. And that's what you are. If you clicked on a link related to this story, right? If you watched someone's live stream that was monetized where they were getting those YouTube pennies, right? You're a victim of consumer fraud, because the story is not factually correct. This man was misquoted. And now we have the proof of that, right? And it comes to us, it comes to us in a few ways. I learned of it through Jason Quitt reposting this idiot, Jeremy Corbell, who never heard a fake story about aliens that he didn't think he could sell, right? Some researcher, the researcher who made a documentary about Bob Lazar and then ignored every credible researcher who sent him proof that Bob Lazar was a fraud. And just by chance, all that information he was sent got left out of his documentary. The only guy to ever get to interview Bob Lazar's mother And even though Bob Lazar swore up and down for decades that he went to MIT and Caltech, Jeremy Corbell had access to Bob Lazar's mother and Bob Lazar's sister during the filming of his documentary. Did he ask Bob Lazar's mother if she attended his graduation from MIT? After all, I'm pretty sure if your son graduated from MIT with a master's degree, you'd be proud of him and want to be at that graduation celebration. No, he either never even thought to ask Bob Lazar's mother the question, or he knew that Bob Lazar's education was fake and purposefully didn't ask her the question, because that's what kind of researcher he is. A person who's already made up his mind before he even filmed 1 second of that documentary. He decided that Bob Lazar was the real deal and he was going to prove it. This cognitive dissonance, this confirmation bias infects all of these losers out there claiming that they're going to bring people the truth. You can't bring people the truth if you're so goddamn biased. You've already made up your mind before you've even seen the evidence. But that's where we're at. You know, recently I did a stream where we worried about the future of our show here. The purpose of this broadcast is not to belittle these people, not to humiliate them, though that may be the end result once the truth is shown for what it is, the truth. The purpose of this broadcast is to bring people the real truth, the second red pill. You thought you needed one? No, you need a few. Because after you've digested all the bullshit that these hucksters are out there selling, you need someone like me, right? Someone with big boots, courageous enough to wade into that lake of bullshit that you got to get through to get to the real truth. They don't do it. They don't do it. They'll never do it. They're content to sell you lies, to get those clicks, get those views, and continue their sensationalist stories with no evidence, no proof. And they'll never have the proof, friends. They'll never have it. So Corbell interviews the author of the story, who spills the beans. Well, he didn't really say that. He was repeating something that he heard from his granddaughter, who heard it from Laura Eisenhower. This, friends, has got to stop. These idiots out there selling anything for money with no proof, no evidence, no corroboration. It's consumer fraud. They know the stories aren't real. They're knowingly selling people lies. In many cases, it can be proven that many of these people were informed that the story was not factually correct that they just sold. Do they ever take the story down? Do they ever do a retraction? Do they ever apologize and say, yeah, you know, we ran with that story because I thought it was credible, but it turns out that story's fake? No, never. Not once. Not once have I heard one of these UFO con artist grifter assholes out there living a great life. Some of them have millionaire lifestyles, like David Wilcock. The guy lives in $1 million mansion. He has several $1 million mansions by several reports. And what is his source of income? Selling fake shit. And of course, David Wilcock is one of the clowns out there selling this story. And we're going to cover that tonight. We're going to show David Wilcock making a complete and total ass of himself, selling this fake story, running with it early, didn't vet anything, didn't check into the story, just ran with it. See? I was on Ancient Aliens. Aliens are real, bro. This Israeli guy said it. It must be true. No, David Wilcock, you dumbass. It's not real. And when you go onto the internet and lie through your fake fucking teeth selling stories like this, it damages the entire field of research for credible researchers. And yeah, there are still a few credible researchers looking into the truth behind these things. Not many, but a few. David Wilcock has been lying through his fake fucking teeth for decades, selling people fake story after fake story, running with anything he could to keep the con going. Got to keep the con going. Got to keep finding material to sell people. You got to do it. So I have this sort of queued up. We're going to cite fair use. And by the way, David Wilcock, don't you dare copyright strike me. This is fair use. This is a transformative work. We're educating the public about what an idiot you are, about how irresponsible you are, about how stupid you are to run with an unproven story from a gentleman that it now appears was misquoted, who never said those things that you on your live stream present as factual and real. Dumbass. It's not factual. Dumbass. It's not real. But that didn't stop you, did it, David Wilcock? You should be looking for a box of dildos. You don't have time, David Wilcock. You do not have time, David Wilcock, to do live streams. You should be looking for a big box of dildos with all your psychic powers. After all, what is it? I think we're up to $15,000 in the David Wilcock box of dildos challenge. For those that don't know, I buried a huge box of dildos for that clown. And all he has to do is use his psychic powers and his alien friends and his friends that talk to government insiders and whistleblowers and his secret inner earth friends and find the box of dildos, and I'll donate $15,000 to his favorite charity. But he still hasn't found a single dildo because viewers all over the world have also buried single dildos for him to find with his psychic powers. This is a man who predicted that we would get superpowers and light bodies as 2020 approached. That never happened. None of his predictions ever happened. By the way, his most recent whopper of a prediction was that Donald Trump would win the presidential election in a landslide. See how accurate he was? Dumbass. Dumbass. A rich boy millionaire that never worked an honest day in his life, running around telling people fake stories about aliens, living a millionaire's lifestyle off of the backs of stupid people who send him money. If you send David Wilcock money, you're buying lies. He is the lord of lies and fake stories about aliens. He has been selling these fake stories, what, over 20 years now? Over 20 years, selling books and lectures and television shows and anything he could about this bullshit. And he still does not have the proof that anything he talks about is real. So there's David Wilcock, one of the most prominent of these UFO con artist huckster assholes, running with this story about an Israeli former space minister who said there's a galactic council of aliens, right? And Donald Trump knew about it. No, that person was misquoted and people ran with the story. I'm tired of these people making money selling people lies. Something should be done about this. Our laws really need to be reformed to stop people like this from profiting off of selling lies. One can just watch the super chat donations during this latest live stream that he did, rolling in to the tune of, I believe, thousands of dollars in one live stream. And for what? What is he getting thousands of dollars for? Running with a fake story, a now proven fake story. How many times do we have to prove that David Wilcock runs with fake stories? How many times do we have to do that before people wake up and stop sending a millionaire rich boy who never had a fucking real job in his life free money? What's it going to take before people wise up and go, you know what, maybe I won't send him this $10 because he's not doing any work. He's not doing any real research like he claims. He spends 12 hours a day researching. But you couldn't call the guy and say, excuse me, I just want to check that this is factually correct. Did you say this? Of course not. He didn't call the guy. He didn't call anybody. He just ran with the story because he saw it on the internet. It must be true because he's an idiot. Or he knows the story is not true and doesn't care. He's just going to run with it anyway. I'm going to put my fair use banner. I mentioned David Wilcock. Don't you dare copyright strike me. David Wilcock likes to do that when people are critical of his fake stories because he can't stand for people to see the real truth behind his horrible, deplorable level of competency as a researcher. He doesn't want to be embarrassed when people see the truth and know that he doesn't do 5 minutes of research before he runs with a story. So he copyright strikes people anytime they play clips of him selling fake stories. Don't you dare do that. I have lawyer letters standing by, David Wilcock. We will not be intimidated by you or legal threat letters or fraudulent copyright strikes. This is a transformative work. We're educating the public about what an idiot and terrible researcher you are, about how you run with fake stories and take money from people doing live streams, selling fake information as factually accurate and real when it is not. And now, David Wilcock, it's been proven. There's definitive proof that that story is completely and totally factually incorrect. Are you going to take that live stream down? Are you going to apologize for running with a fake story? Are you going to print some kind of retraction on your website? Are you going to apologize that you took all these super chat donations and you hyped up a now proven fake story? Are you going to give the money back? Of course he's not. This is fair use. This is a transformative work. We're educating the public. And I refuse to be intimidated by legal threats from someone like David Wilcock. This is my fair use banner. We're going to let it play while we're playing the David Wilcock idiot parade. Oh, and by the way, he's doing this live stream with Dannion Brinkley. It was several months ago that David Wilcock was sending people something like, well, let's just say he was sending multiple emails a day out to his email list, encouraging people to hurry up and sign up for his latest course with Dannion Brinkley, because Dannion Brinkley died and came back 4 times, but now he's really terminally ill and he may not make it. And this may be his last live stream. And I think there's been 2, maybe 3 live streams since that course was being hawked by David Wilcock. Hurry up. Operators are standing by. Hurry up and sign up for my latest course with Dannion Brinkley because he may die any minute now. Well, he's still alive. Have you apologized for that? Is that consumer fraud? Implying that somebody could die any day now? You better hurry up and buy this course. And he's still alive months later, and there's no explanation for any of this. All right. We're going to share David Wilcock sharing this fake story. And this is David Wilcock. I love the title, David Wilcock and Dannion Brinkley, UFO disclosure prophecies coming true. Except they're not true, and we busted you again, David Wilcock, you horrible researcher, you deplorable human being who is content with selling people lies and accepting money from people while you're spouting lies and factually incorrect statements. I believe that I have this queued up. Oh, let's do that again, friends. I always do that. Share audio. So this is fair use. Let's get into it, friends. Let's show the world David Wilcock running with a factually incorrect bunch of statements with a fake story. And this is just one example. I can cite 100 more examples of him running with a fake story. There's Dannion Brinkley. He's looking pretty healthy for a guy that was about to die any minute a few months ago, isn't he? Funny that. going to be stopping the video along the way to comment and critique. Boy, look at this set. David Wilcock's wife really outdid herself. Look, we got some crystals and a crystal ball and a big gold leaf. Holy shit. Look at this shit. It looks like a big fat dildo standing up on... The David Wilcock box of dildos challenge must have gotten in his subconscious because he's decorating his set with phallic symbols now. We're having an effect, friends. We're having an effect.
Out of outrageous fraud
That's
perpetrated on us.
So my point,
yeah, Dannion Brinkley's admitting it here. Outrageous fraud being perpetrated against us. Do you mean by you and your partner in slime here, David Wilcock, selling fake stories? Are you guys going to address that David Wilcock predicted that Donald Trump, a few days before the election, predicted that Donald Trump was going to win in a huge major landslide? You guys going to talk about that elephant in the room? That was a fake story, I guess, because that didn't happen.
point is that, yes, we're getting really close to that. Yep. Thank you. We're going to do the meditation here momentarily. We're not going to run too far over.
Yeah, and he ends his stream with a meditation. Like, I'm going to sell people complete and total fake stories for, let's see, 2 hours and probably 40 minutes, I think. I haven't previewed this entire video, but he's going to sell people fake stories and regurgitate fake information for 2 hours and 40 minutes. But then he's going to do a world peace meditation or something like that at the end to show what a good person he is. Listen, you dumbass. If you were a good person, David Wilcock, you would not be selling people fake stories. You would not be accepting money from people when your information is not factually correct. And meditation doesn't make up for that. But he's going to meditate and then sing Kumbaya and everything's all good.
I've always said that the benevolent ETs, this goes back to the law of one, sources that I've studied and considered deeply. The reason why they block these...
And let's remember, friends, that every time he mentions the law of one, the people who are actually the curators of the law of one don't want him teaching that material. They don't consider him an expert in the material, but he mentions the law of one all the time and considers himself an expert in it, right? It's kind of like me running around and telling everybody I'm an expert in Catholicism and the Catholic Church saying, excuse me, we'd rather you not talk about our religion, and you do it anyway. But he's love and light, right? They don't want him talking about the law of one, right? But he does it anyway because he's such a great person.
Attacks, what these incendiary devices, the reason why they're stopping this from happening is that they're protecting us so that we go through this mass awakening without being destroyed. So the DS is allowed to exist, but they're not allowed to destroy massive, massive numbers of lives. And I expect that.
You know, and I just want to mention here, I checked on another computer. His audio is out of sync. And I think that's funny because our audio is generally in sync, and we do our show on a budget of near zero, you know, a few $100s a month in Patreon supporters. And thank God for all of you Patreon supporters. But my point is that this guy is living in $1 million mansion, right? And he collects thousands of dollars a month in donations to do these live streams. And he can't work a fucking microphone and get his, you know, audio to be in sync with his video somehow.
That will continue. I've had multiple dreams that told me that as soon as we really start to step up as a nation, as a planet, to defend our rights, the ETs are now authorized by the laws of the universe to come in and intervene in a much more direct capacity.
Oh, good. As soon as we rise up, those alien brothers will come to help us. He had a dream about it. It must be true. Just because you dream something, you idiot, doesn't mean that it's real. But this is, again, it's like the Kerry Cassidy prover maneuver. He needs to bolster his bullshit claims. So what does he do? I had prophetic dreams about this. No, you didn't. And even if you did, it doesn't mean it's true. It just means you dreamt about something.
But it's not the right time just yet. And that is what has leaked. So let's go back to the slides. This is so amazing. Okay. This is true, folks. An Israeli space official says ETs are already here.
But he didn't say that. His granddaughter told him that, and he was commenting on that, and he was misquoted.
It even made it into TMZ of all things. TMZ, you can see that at the top. Ex-Israeli space official alien high till we are ready.
Yeah, because TMZ is such a wow. TMZ covered this. It must be true. They're such a credible news source, David Wilcock. This is the level of David Wilcock's research. He'll go through the internet and anything that supports his bullshit story, no matter how flimsy a source is, to him, well, that's a good source. TMZ said it. It must be true. No, you dumbass. It's not true.
I'm going to be reading from this. This is the Middle East Eye online newspaper. We'll just use extraterrestrials because they're humans. They don't even look any different than us a lot of times. Human ETs exist, and Trump knows it, according to the former head of the Israeli space program. I'm going to read quotes from this momentarily.
Wow. So this must be true because somebody wrote it on the internet, right? And it couldn't be that just a bunch of less than credible people decided to run with a story they knew would get a lot of clicks and views. This is clickbait garbage. That's what David Wilcock is serving up to his viewers. Clickbait garbage. That's not factually accurate. That's not true. This guy did not say that.
Here's another one. Former head of Israel's space division, ETs are real, and President T was on the verge of confirming. So now I'm going to read you from MiddleEastEye.net. These are, I checked these websites. They are real. They're not fake websites. Obviously, TMZ is real. So.
They're real websites. They're not fake websites. It doesn't mean the information they're presenting is accurate. You have to find corroboration. You have to find second source, right? Why don't you find a guy that worked under him to confirm what he's saying? You didn't do that. You're just running with shit that you read on the internet. You're a right-click researcher, David Wilcock. If it says it on the internet, it must be real.
This is not fake, folks.
Well,
okay?
kind of.
It's kind of real.
Kind of real.
Let's hope they never turn their look to us, God.
Let's hope so.
Oh. The former head of Israel's space program, notice the British spelling, has claimed that the U.S. and Israeli governments are in touch with ETs and that a galactic federation is already in existence.
Wow, that must mean that your fake alien stories are real because this guy said it, except he didn't say that. And we'll get confirmation of that, friends, after we watch this shit show of David Wilcock's. Boy, he loves his slides, doesn't he? You must spend a lot of time on slides, David Wilcock.
Haim Eshed, who ran the Israeli space program for nearly 30 years. This is like a very high-level guy, folks.
And a general.
Yeah, he said humanity isn't ready to make contact with the ETs just yet, and he claims that this civilization had to intervene to prevent our president from blurting out their secrets before the right time. The 87-year-old...
Yeah, the guy's 87-year-old. He's 87 years old, right? Could it be that a less than credible journalist was using this 87-year-old man that may be suffering from dementia and running with a fake story, and then a bunch of other people jumped on and ran with the same or similar story? Could that be? Could that be possible? That maybe this story is not credible, that maybe that gentleman didn't really say this, or he was misunderstood or misquoted? Could that be possible?
Made the comments to the Israeli newspaper, I'm going to butcher this, Yediot Aharonot, ahead of the publication of a new book entitled The Universe Beyond the Horizon, which deals with his claims about the existence of ET intelligence. Buy that today. Buy that book today. And I am...
Well, at least he's encouraging people to give that guy some money, for his less than credible story.
I'm not getting a commission.
Oh, he had to point out he's not getting a commission.
ETs have asked not to announce that they are here because humanity is not ready yet, he told this Israeli newspaper. They have been waiting for humanity to evolve and reach a stage where we will generally understand what space and spaceships really are.
We already understand what space and spaceships are, though, David Wilcock.
It's kind of an awkwardly worded sentence, but we're just not grown up enough yet, is the bottom line.
Are we in too much turmoil to have to deal with
Exactly.
this from a religious, political, and economic standpoint?
Just the stress that it would put on everybody before we get the arrests, I think, is really the point here.
Oh, the mass arrests. The mass arrests that David Wilcock has been promising are going to happen any day now since 1998, right? He first started with the whole story about mass arrests happening any day now in 1998. It's a common theme, and he comes back to it time and time again. Anytime something in the news might seem to support that ridiculous claim he's been making since 1998, he brings it up again. And here he is. The mass arrests may happen soon. The mass arrests have to happen before the aliens tell us they're here.
There's an agreement between the USG and the ETs. They signed a contract with us to do experiments.
Yeah, and this goes back to Eisenhower. So what happened is this guy's granddaughter heard Laura Eisenhower talking about this contract that Eisenhower signed, letting the Greys harvest, people and abduct people as long as they got a list of who they abducted, right? This is a common fake story that has been bandied about in UFO mythology for 20 or 30 years now. There's no proof of that story being real. There's no evidentiary support that that story is real. There's no corroborating witnesses. There's just people repeating it as if it's true for decades now. Doesn't make the story true. So this gentleman who they're quoting, his granddaughter heard Laura Eisenhower talking about this stuff and told him about it. And he was repeating some of what he had heard from his granddaughter while being interviewed by a less than credible journalist.
Oh, yeah. All right.
They don't need a wood chipper now.
So look, there's different treaties that are at work here, and
There's no treaty, you dummy. There's no treaty. Show us the treaty. Show us proof of the treaty. Show us who signed the treaty. Show us witnesses to the treaty. There's no treaty. It's fake. Just like your teeth. This story is as fake as your fake fucking teeth, David Wilcock.
there's one that they call Tau 9 that was done with Eisenhower. This apparently was with a more negative group. In Awakening in the Dream, I do talk about the idea that there's compelling evidence of benevolent ETs and negative ETs, both sides, using humans that they've grown in the embryonic state into adulthood in the fetal shape, which is what a gray is. The gray is...
There's compelling evidence. Can we see this compelling evidence? Or are you just lying through your fake fucking teeth again? How many times are we going to catch you lying through your fake fucking teeth, David Wilcock? Where's the compelling? He just says there's compelling evidence, but he doesn't show us any of it. You've got compelling evidence that aliens are growing people in vats and experimenting on us, but you can't show us the actual evidence? Funny that.
Are neonates. They're, if the fetal proportions are maintained, the head, the eyes, that's what it looks like. So they can grow these, and then they can telepathically interface with them. So it's almost like having the ability to control a whole bunch of them at once.
Wow. So they've got like biomechanical androids, and you have compelling evidence. I can't wait to hear the compelling evidence that you have about this, but we'll never hear it because he's just lying through his fake fucking teeth.
And get these things to work at once. So I go through very contentious material in my new book and make the argument that there is a positive aspect to the abduction phenomenon that's been very systematically overlooked, in which most of these contactees, and this is before all this, the C blank blank.
Oh, 1 second, friends. I think that's a commercial coming. Let me just, okay, 1 second. We're going to share this again. Sorry about that. I'm not playing David Wilcock's commercials on our show. And by the way, this stream is loaded with many more commercials than he usually does, which would seem to indicate a degree of desperation on his part to pack this stream with a lot more commercials than I ever remember seeing on any of his previous streams. 1 second, friends.
In the 1990s, okay? Before all that came out, there were studies that were done. I write about them in the book, in which almost everybody that had these hypnotics with these beings, that they remembered that they had volunteered to do this before they were born, and that what they were doing with the sampling of their genetic material, that process was very important to humanity's future. In the book, I combine the work of Cosmic Voyage by Dr. Courtney Brown with the Law of One, which I read immediately thereafter, and both sources are saying that our DNA is stored so that if anything really bad happens to humanity on Earth, we can be reintroduced on this or another planet, and all of our genetic stock is there. They don't have to clone a bunch of people. They got unique DNA for everybody.
So he's combining two sources, a doctor, I'd have to check into that source, and a channeled book. The Law of One is a book that was channeled information. That's his source. Somebody channeled some information, wrote a book called The Law of One, and they say this is true, right? Channeled information. The quality or lack of quality of this guy's sources is astounding to me. There's no, verifiable proof. There's a channeled book and something some doctor said. And based on what I know, this is opinion and speculation, but based on what I know about the quality of his other sources, that so-called doctor may not even be a doctor. I'd have to check into that. That's his proof of all this shit that he just said.
That's what this is really about. That's why people get scoop marks like on the back of their knee. That's why genetic samples are taken. That's why sperm is taken, or why there's pregnancies. So this is a different view, and it's very, very controversial, and it takes a lot of time to explain, way beyond the scope of this video.
I do have evidence, but it's beyond the scope of this video for me to share that evidence with you. So I'm not going to give you any evidence. I'm just going to lie through my fake fucking teeth. That's what we get. This is the quality of David Wilcock's so-called research.
I just want to put it out there that every ET group, whether they're the good guys or the bad guys, every ET group is involved with our genetics, and they're both trying, either side is trying to steer humanity more in favor of what they desire.
Yeah, and listen to the quality of his speech patterns even. The good guys, the bad guys. It's like he's 10 years old on a playground, this guy.
So the positive side is doing this and the negative side is doing this. There's a big discussion there. Please read the book for more information.
Yeah, buy my book, full of bullshit, so that I can continue living in my $1 million mansion selling bullshit. It must be nice to live in a $1 million mansion selling fake stories about aliens for decades with no proof, no verifiable evidence, no credible witnesses, nothing. A channeled book and some doctor said something, and this story's real to David Wilcock. People ask me all the time, do you think that David Wilcock really believes this stuff, or does he know it's fake? I'm on the fence. I can't tell whether he actually believes the bullshit coming out of his fake teeth, or whether he knows that he's lying through his fake teeth and doesn't care because he's living in a $1 million mansion selling this fake shit. And he has been for decades now. Why do you get to live in a $1 million mansion? What is the value of what you're offering planet Earth? Fake shit? Escapism? Some people would say maybe it's entertainment. I don't even consider this entertainment. You're fucking putting this out there as factually real information, that these stories are real, but you don't have any proof that they are.
Now, this is put out without any other qualifiers. He explained that the ETs have a base on Mars.
And again, the source of this information is one of the biggest nut jobs in all of the field of aliens and UFOs, and that would be Laura Eisenhower. She talked about that base on Mars and how she was invited to go live on that base on Mars, never provided any proof or evidence of that. But she talks about that. This gentleman's granddaughter heard Laura Eisenhower talking about that and relayed this to her grandfather. And he was repeating what he had heard from his granddaughter. And she heard it from Laura Eisenhower, who, by the way, also believes that there is a, let's see, I can't even translate her woo, but Laura Eisenhower says there's a base on Mars, and her and many other elites were invited to live on that base on Mars. And there's also this negative entity on the planet Saturn that eats our negative feelings and emotions, right? She doesn't have proof of anything she's talked about at anything in her lectures for 20 years. No proof whatsoever. She repeats that, what is essentially bullshit with no proof. Somebody hears it, tells this guy, he repeats it, and now David Wilcock. So this is like, it's like bullshit ping pong. I'll ping pong my bullshit, and then somebody else will ping pong some bullshit back, and then we ping pong. It's a game of bullshit ping pong that we're playing here.
With us involved.
With us, yes.
Then look at all those stories.
I've got to get this book, man.
But David,
as soon as it comes out, I got to read it.
But look at all those stories that you've heard from so many different people, and so many of them focusing on Mars, not the moon, not Jupiter.
That's right.
But Mars.
Bases on?
Yeah, bases on Mars. And by the way, for those that are so stupid and idiotic that they don't realize this, let me give you some scientifically verifiable, factual evidence of something. We've got rovers on Mars. We've got satellite around Mars mapping the Martian surface. If there was proof that there was a base, we'd have it. But we don't. There's no proof that there's any settlements, bases, or anything on Mars other than rocks and sand and dirt. There's no proof. People telling stories about being super soldiers on Mars don't make those stories real. Evidence does. And that's what these idiots are lacking. These two idiots right here and every other idiot running with these Martian fake stories, they don't have a single shred of real evidence.
Mars.
Oh, it's just like the face on Mars. That was completely and totally busted and proven to be fake. But it doesn't stop people like David Wilcock from still mentioning the face on Mars as if it's still a real thing.
ETs and human personnel. The first guy telling me about this was back in 2007 with Henry Deacon. That he went to work at a military.
Well, I'm not sure, but I may be accurate in that I believe Henry Deacon was the fake whistleblower telling him Martian stories that turned out to be a court-martialed child molester. Great source. Great, man, David. If that is Henry Deacon, and I believe it is, that's just funny. You're going to bring up a court-martialed child molester as a source telling you stories about Mars, and that's your proof, right? What proof? I'm still I'm a little unclear if that there's been so many fake sources that he had that were riddled with problems. Like one of them was a court-martialed child molester. One of them was a fake science and technology advisor to Ronald Reagan. I get a little confused with all the fake sources that he's had. But let's pretend for a minute that Henry Deacon was not the person I'm thinking of, that source. Where's the proof, David Wilcock? Where's the proof? Just because somebody told you something, that's not proof. And this is what he does time and time again. Well, Henry Deacon told me that there's a base on Mars, so it must be true. Did you get proof from him? Of course not. Of course not.
Military base in the UK, and he portaled off to Mars.
Yeah, he went through a portal to Mars.
And that's where he was doing his job. And that they had gravity plates in the different rooms, depending on which ET species it was. You'd have more or less gravity. He talked about these tunnels that you'd shoot through, and that the tunnels had views that made the Grand Canyon look like crap.
Yeah, so he talked about it, but it did not give you any evidence or proof that his stories were factually accurate. But that hasn't stopped you from mentioning him hundreds of times when doing these bullshit ping pong game live streams that you do, where you just regurgitate any bullshit that anybody's ever told you as factually real.
They're like these tunnels that have clear surfaces on them. So you're in this little egg-shaped car and you're looking out the windows. And some of those tunnels have actually appeared in some of the photos of Mars, the glass tubes of Mars. We've talked about this years ago.
that was proven to be fake. It's proven there are no glass tubes on Mars. No real glass tubes. There may be glass tubes in your fucking imagination, David Wilcock, on Mars. We would be able to see that with our satellites. We would be able to see that with the drone rovers. If they were real, we'd know it. But we don't, because they're not, except in your fantasy land.
And think about Elizabeth and I we're sitting in a chiropractor's office and having a conversation with some Russian and another guy, American, who's...
Yeah, here's another one. Some guy at the chiropractor's office just happened to tell us a story about aliens. And it must be true, because a guy at the chiropractor's office told us this story. It must be true.
Black guy, a black guy who had served in the military. And he started telling us the story about his father working at JPL Laboratories in the 60s. Right. Now watch how easy this was. And Beth and Elizabeth and I are both listening.
Yeah, and there's David Wilcock's wife. Listen, just because somebody told you something doesn't make it real, honey. Just like somebody telling you that they were a real kung fu teacher doesn't make it real. Go look at her website. She claims she has 5 black belts in kung fu. Except the only problem is real Chinese kung fu doesn't have belts at all. So she's got some fake black belts in kung fu given to her by her ex-husband. Does anybody think that maybe, just maybe, if you're sleeping with a man and he's giving you black belts in kung fu, they may not be something that you want to brag about? Maybe, just my opinion. I'm entitled to an opinion.
How people beam to work. They beam to work from other planets.
That's right. So
Mars.
let me just hit this off again real quick because you said it fast. You guys met somebody at the chiropractor. I didn't happen to go that day. I wish.
So now, wait a minute. Let me repeat. That's some good bullshit, Dannion Brinkley. Let me repeat that bullshit. He already told the story. Now you're going to tell it again because that's some good bullshit, right? You need the spotlight on you.
I had. And he worked at, his father worked at JPL in the 1960s. And so that father was bringing this JPL intel home, which he wasn't supposed to do. He's breaking the law and his security oath. But he told his kid about...
He had a person...
Oh, that's right.
That managed...
I wasn't there. Yeah, this is their story. So.
His father worked there, but the person that came home to dinner, his best friend, who we named and who Elizabeth and I looked up, and the guy was the head of the laboratory at JPL in 1965, and he called him by name.
Yeah, okay, I'd like to talk to him and find out if this story is factually correct and accurate. Did you talk to him? You can look anybody up.
Elizabeth and I came back home and we looked it up, and he said they beamed to work.
ETs were beaming into
JPL. And when I laughed, I was looking at Elizabeth. What I laughed is I could see them with their little lunchbox. You know, the little lunchbox that you have. And the first.
Well, breaking news. What great information. Aliens have lunchboxes and they beam into JPL laboratories. This is the lunacy, the idiocy, the ridiculous, sensational, pure bullshit that these people are out there selling.
Thing I thought was, here's this guy that's from aliens beaming into work with his little lunchbox, and that would beam home. And this guy was so matter of fact because us having the conversation made him.
Yeah, friends, I gotta check out here. I can't go any further. My head cannot take any more of this bullshit. We're gonna turn our attention to the live chat. And what we're going to do is So we've shown that David Wilcock is running with this fake story, running with it, rejoicing in this, because he thinks that this 87-year-old former Israeli space minister saying this stuff, or being quoted as saying this stuff in less than credible sources like TMZ on the internet, means it's real. And that means his fake alien stories must be real. But now we're going to see the evidence that none of this happened the way the articles portrayed. And one second, friends. Let me just get to a bit of business. Somebody is sending me a link on Twitter, but unfortunately, that person has blocked me on Twitter because they are an intellectual weakling and they cannot withstand debate, and that would be one Jeremy Corbell. Oh, well, gee, for once, Jeremy Corbell is doing the right thing here, but it hasn't stopped him from sensationalizing the story and profiting from it. Because, yes, there's a live stream. And here's what he said. Professor Eshed is a serious and accomplished man with major responsibilities. He's a UFO realist. However, some of his statements were repeated ideas based on other people's perspectives and said in a specific context. Yet the lazy mass media attributed them to him. Just because you like a story doesn't mean it's real. Just because you like a story doesn't mean it's credible, right? It's this confirmation bias. And yeah, thanks to Cranston for sending me that on Twitter. And I got to get to the next video, which we're going to share. We go from one dummy to another one. And yes, Vanessa, I agree with you. So I'm going to try to be fair. Okay? My feelings of this person aside, I'll try to be fair. But you don't get credit for doing one truthful thing when you've spent 20 years selling fake stories. I'm sorry, 5 years, 10 years selling fake stories. One second, friends. Let me just get to the video here. I have it queued up here, but I have to go past an ad, so please bear with me. We don't get paid for ads here, so I'm not going to be playing other people's ads. Okay, one second, friends. Just get this queued up. And this is about the interview and the statements that every UFO huckster in UFO land is running with. And yeah, V, you're right. I'll be fair and I won't say anything negative about this person doing the interview with the journalist who reveals to us the truth behind these so-called statements of fact that weren't, and how this person was misquoted. Because you're right, in fairness, we wouldn't know the truth if not for this interview. So, and again, this is a transformative work. We're educating the public and critiquing the video shared. We're going to be discussing this in our live chat. This too is fair use. And again, we will aggressively defend against any copyright strikes when we are citing fair use here. This is a transformative work. We are definitely educating the public. We're critiquing the video. We're discussing it in our live chat. This is the definition of fair use. So let's get to the truth behind these statements attributed to this Israeli space minister. And this is Jeremy Corbell interviewing the journalist.
Various snippets from the interview, but yeah, he said all of these things, maybe with the exception of the agreement between the US government and the UFOs. He was referring to the Eisenhower thing, and he quoted his granddaughter, Jackie.
Okay, understood.
Eisenhower's
Yeah.
daughter, who said
Yeah, so he's quoting his granddaughter who told him that she heard this from Laura Eisenhower.
her grandfather told her that there was such an agreement. I don't think that would be my only
I mean,
exception.
this is why
he was quoting her, and all the other stuff that you've quoted was right on the nose. Yeah, it was that's basically what it was saying.
Yeah, this is why the context of your full article, which was eloquently written, is so important, because he's not claiming this himself as an official. He is saying this is one part of the story or mythology or story itself of ufology.
It's all mythology. That's the problem. It's people repeating mythology and fake stories about UFOs and aliens that go back decades. And people repeat them. People add on to the stories. People tack on to the stories. People run with the stories.
He's telling you somebody else said this. And that's so important that people understand that distinction. The other thing he said that really made me stand back a little bit was, where did he come up with the term Galactic Federation? Was that a generalized term, or was that a specific thing he was quoting?
That's, you know what, I would have to kind of blame myself for not further investigating with him the subject of the Galactic Confederation or Federation.
So the original author of the article doesn't even know where he got the term Galactic Federation.
I didn't get into that because there was so much to talk about, and I cannot really tell you what he was referring to, only that he mentioned that they had 9 members. All are better evolved than we are at this point, and that they were examining us, and you know, and that they have specifically asked before not to be exposed yet here on Earth.
And this is a common theme, that aliens are, interacting with high-ranking officials and making deals with them so they can abduct us. But humans aren't ready to know about us yet, so you can't tell everyone that we're here. This is a common theme in UFO mythology. This type of story has been repeated for decades. Doesn't make it true, doesn't make it real.
But that's all I got on this subject. Maybe we should have gone further into it, but we did not.
So Professor Eshed is a sane man.
Well, you know what? I'm just a journalist. You know, I'm not a professional on that. But if you talk to him, you get the one-on-one with him. He appears to be very much sane, and you know, he's a fascinating person to talk to, and
Yes.
and he's not at all out of touch in any way that I was able to note.
Yeah, and I think this is sufficient. So there we have the proof that this person was misquoted or taken out of context, because what he was actually talking about was repeating things, parts of what may be true from UFO mythology and stories that originated from Laura Eisenhower. That is a problem, because we didn't get the context. We got the sensational headlines that this gentleman was the Israeli space minister, and he said all of this was, and people printed this like this is him saying this. And it wasn't him saying it. It was him repeating parts of his stories that he heard from his granddaughter, who heard it from Laura Eisenhower. So here we see what I call the bullshit ping pong game. I'll bat some bullshit over your way. The bullshit starts with Laura Eisenhower, gets to the granddaughter bats the bullshit to the grandfather, who happened to actually work for the Israeli space program. He bats that bullshit to a journalist who doesn't make it quite clear that he's not saying this as his opinion of reality. He's saying that he heard these stories from his granddaughter, who heard them from Laura Eisenhower. Once again, I am disappointed in humanity, humans in general. So many people running with this story in UFO land because of their confirmation bias. There is people that have already made up their mind that aliens are real. And when a story like this comes out, they say, hey, look, I'm not crazy. This guy said that there's a galactic federation of aliens and that Eisenhower struck a deal with them. Folks, there's just no proof. There's just no evidence. And two people saying the same fake thing don't make that thing any less fake. I will hold out for evidence. And V is here in the live chat. And you know what, V? I read your comment on Twitter, and I think better of what I said earlier today. And you are correct. And here's what I said. I'll read part of it. So the source of this information about the Galactic Federation actually originated or came from Laura Eisenhower, who's about as credible as a source of accurate information as a crackhead selling car stereos. And I will leave out what I said regarding one Jeremy Corbell. Because, yeah, to his credit, he got the interview, and we at least know. Now we know the truth, and all the misplaced excitement about this bunch of people running with this story is just that. It's misplaced excitement. It's not real, friends. It's just another story that people run with, and then when the story gets drilled down on a little bit, it turns out to be a big, fat nothing burger. I just want to say once again that the purpose of this live stream and broadcast is not to humiliate any of these people that are running with this fake story, or, degrade them or insult them or make fun of them. The purpose of this broadcast is to bring people the real truth, the second red pill that many need. You can't just believe this stuff because people write it on the internet. You can't just believe this stuff because people live stream about it. You've got to drill down and get more to the truth. You're not going to get to the truth if you really want to believe it and you just believe it because you want to. It doesn't make it any more real. And that, my friends, is where we're at. That, my friends, is where we're at. I'm going to take some comments, questions from the live chat. Paranormal Hood is here. All uses of the term Galactic Federation in pop culture, sci-fi over the last 100 years or so in film and television. Galactic Federation is in the Doctor Who serials, The Curse of Paladin and The Monster of Peladon. And I believe, isn't that from the 70s? Does that go back to the 70s or the early 80s? And also the Galactic Federation is in the Metroid game. I think it's most famous for the game, the Nintendo Metroid game. There's a Galactic Federation in the Nintendo, and let's not forget, like, the United Federation of Planets. It's Star Trek. This stuff goes back to the 1960s. It goes back to the 1960s. And another one, Galactic Federation in Rick and Morty episodes. Galactic Federation in Lilo and Stitch. Galactic Federation is the Tomorrow People TV series. Galactic Federation in Please Teacher Anime TV. Yeah, there's hundreds of references to a Galactic Federation in science fiction and in popular culture. It doesn't mean it's real because people have mentioned it before. Oh, yeah, here, Paranormal Hood, he agrees with me. Yeah, I know it from the Metroid games. In gaming, Galactic Federation is in the Metroid video game series. Galactic Federation is the Infinite Space video game. Galactic Federation in the Time Traveler video game. Yes, I will say that, Lamont. You've got to say you're not cyberbullying as well. Yeah, it's the purpose of this video is not to bully anyone. It is to give people the real truth behind these stories. It is to peel back the layers of deception, the layers of absolutely deplorable research that people should be doing that don't do. They don't do the research. They just run with the story because it sounds good and they like it and they want it to be true. So yes, the purpose of our video here is not to degrade anyone, to bully anybody, to cyberstalk or harass anyone that's out there making these fake claims. It's simply to inform and educate the public that people are out there making these fake claims. I believe that people deserve the actual truth behind these things, and we try to bring it to them here on our show, Truth Seekers. Reemsy, I would buy a car stereo from Laura Eisenhower, but I don't wish to support her crack. Oh, well, the views expressed in our live chat are not necessarily those of Spectral International or Truth Seekers or its host. But I support your right to have your opinion and say whatever it is that you want to say in our live chat. Yes, and V with another one. Galactic Federation in Scientology. That goes back to 1950. And Paranormal just keeps spouting off examples of more Galactic Federation mentions in fiction and popular culture. Yeah. Zeno approves this message, Lee Veltman. Look, I got enough problems, and I don't want to incite the wrath of the Church of Science. That church. Yeah. So we're not going to comment on the validity of Xenu or the Galactic Federation as it relates to any religion on Earth. Oh, God. The tulpa that was created by pulp writers that David Wilcock talks to. Yeah, he never met a source that he didn't believe. No matter how fantastical. Man, Paranormal Hoodie's got dates for them too, but there's too long to post. Yeah. So comments, questions, please put them in the live chat. Like I said, we weren't going to cover this, but when I saw this today, and thanks to Jason Quid who brought it to my attention. And by the way, Jason Quid's friends, I believe, with Laura Eisenhower, and even he believes that this story is not credible, since the seed of the information that this old man, this 87-year-old former space minister of Israel, was regurgitating came from Laura Eisenhower. If even her friends know that she's not credible, I don't know. I think that says a lot. Lamont, there's no GoFundMe, there's no Kickstart, but I am slowly making progress towards. We're going to be getting I really would like to get. I believe the screen here that I have is a 20-inch screen, and it's a crappy PC all-in-one Toshiba computer that we run the show with. So I'm working on hopefully getting. I found out recently that iMacs have a higher dot. And also Mystery Solved. I mentioned on a previous show, you guys know that I'm somewhat visually impaired, and I have a really hard time reading during the live show. So we wanted to upgrade the computer. And I found out by chance recently, because I'm not a Mac guy, that iMacs are the best thing for my visual impairment. I can read that screen. It's so much crisper and clearer. So we wanted to get an older one. And I think I've got a line on like a many-year-old one, but it's 27-inch. And also there's Mystery Solved now, because I talked to a friend who is a Mac guy. And the reason that iMac screens are so much easier on my eyes is because they have a higher dot pitch than a PC screen, or most PC screens. And I never knew that until I got one from a friend secondhand. It's at the cabin, and worked on it and went, oh my God, everything is so clear on this screen. So I'm working on getting that. I don't know how far I am away from that. We're pretty close. But I'm going to check in, actually. We'll put our begging bowl out. If people like David Wilcock can live in $1 million mansion selling people lies, I think it's only fitting that I be allowed to put my begging bowl out while I'm trying to bring people the truth behind these things. Every yin must have their yang, right? There is a place at the table for all of us, even me. And as many of these fake UFO hucksters that there is out there, there needs to be more people like me who are digging a little deeper, peeling back the layers of deception and trying at least to bring people the actual truth behind these stories. So I'm going to put the begging bowl out. Let's see, where is that at? Okay, and this it says, we need your financial support to continue this show. Please consider a PayPal donation or becoming a Patreon supporter if you want to see our show continue. There are links in the About section, and we have something called Not So Super Chat donations. Since we're not monetized here yet, according to YouTube, we still need a few, I think it's 100 and something more subscribers, and we need increased watch time before they'll allow us to take Super Chat donations. So we're doing something called the Not So Super Chat donation. And here's what I mean. You can go to the About section of our channel, and there is a PayPal donate button. Click that. But please, 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 if you're going to make a PayPal donation, add a note. It lets you add a note and give us your live chat user ID so that I can properly thank you by your live chat user ID and shout you out. You probably don't want me reading your real name if that's what I get when I get a PayPal donation. And yes, you can also, you can subscribe to us on Patreon for as little as $1 a month, but it's $1 or more a month. You can pay, you can set any monthly donation that you like to help us continue the show. And I have to say that every dollar that is donated, I can account for. That is all purchased equipment and things to help us get the show and improve the show. The microphone I'm using, the headphones I'm using, I think even the sunglasses I'm wearing today. Maybe, no, not these. So the microphones, the lights, the backdrop, everything here, the webcams, everything here was paid for out of our Patreon dollars. I can account for every single penny of any donation that we get. Unlike some people living in $1 million mansions, you can guess where that money goes. It goes to support $1 million lifestyle. It certainly doesn't go to support that person's efforts at broadcasting. So if he can collect thousands of dollars for selling people lies, I think it's worth it that some people, if they so choose, can decide to give me a few dollars to continue in this work of providing people, or trying my best to provide people with the real truth behind these stories. We need this in the world. There needs to be balance. I bring that balance. I try my very best, at least, friends. And also, so if you do the PayPal donation, include your chat room user ID in the note line and any message you'd like me to shout out. Make sure you add the note line and let me know what your chat room user ID is. Failing this, you either joining us on Patreon, and by the way, the Patreon people get a host of benefits, including the MindHack system. For those that don't know, the MindHack is a personal improvement and development system that I've been developing for really my whole life and using it myself. Why is it that some people can do amazing, incredible things? Why is it that some people can manifest something they dream about into reality with relative ease and other people struggle just to get by? I wondered that. I took apart everything that's ever been successful for me in achieving goals and manifesting dreams and put it together into a system that includes binaural beats to get you in the right brain state, and motivational speaking, hypnotic inductions, positive reinforcement, guided meditations, and more. That's free for anybody in the, if you're giving me $1 a month, you're not going to pay. Some of these hucksters are out there selling $300 and $400 and $500 courses that I don't believe have half the value of the MindHack system. So the MindHack system is free for Patreon supporters. And we do have a bumper about that. So if you become a Patreon supporter, you get access to all the MindHack system materials included in as a benefit. Let's take a listen to this bumper about the MindHack system. That's included with Patreon if you become a Patreon supporter.
What if it was possible to learn how to hack or program your own mind? The truth is, your mind has already been programmed and controlled by others for years. But this is how you break free. This is how you learn to program your own mind and finally take control of your destiny. This is how you break that bondage. This is how you learn to hack your own mind and learn to finally be free. Welcome to MindHack. The MindHack system includes guided meditations, binaural beats for each brain state, motivational speaking, hypnotic inductions, and much, much more. The MindHack system puts you back in control. The MindHack system helps you reach your goals. The MindHack system helps you manifest your dreams into reality. By finally taking control of your own mind, you will learn to focus and take control of your own infinite potential. Welcome to MindHack.
And I do have to say that individual results may vary, but I've gotten a lot of great feedback so far from the people that are using these materials. And so far, I believe we're up to 3 hours and 30 minutes of MindHack system materials that are, you get the total system in its current form. I will be adding several more bits to it before making it a commercial retail product that we'll be selling here on the show. And that's just one Patreon benefit. So that's my begging bowl speech. Also included in Patreon, I do a daily audio journal, monthly audio journal about sort of a backstage pass, what we're working on, what I'm thinking about with the show, what's coming up on the show, just sort of a backstage pass audio journal that is for Patreon supporters. Also at times, there may be coming up, there'll be some written material and research materials that I'll be including in Patreon. Anything that I'm working on goes on Patreon and everybody gets it before it becomes public. And that, my friends, is for those that are supporting my work here, I try to give people all that I can every month. Also, if you have questions, comments, I'm sorry to be very honest here, but I will be. The Patreon's people, if you send me a message, I may get 10 or 20 emails that day, or DMs on Twitter or whatever, and may not get to you very quickly. But the Patreon people, if you send me a message on Patreon, you get a reply the same day, usually. I'm trying my best to give everybody that is supportive of the show or has questions some of my time. But it's just the reality that the people on Patreon are giving me $1 or more a month, so they're going to get more access, and that's just the reality of it. I do want to thank 2 new patrons, and I'm just going to use their first names here. I hope that's okay. We got 2 new patrons in the last month. Well, we got more than that, but the last 2 that they're telling me about, it says, "Yay, 2 new patrons." And I am going to welcome them with a personal message later today, and they really do have my thanks, my support, and my gratitude. And that would be Jacqueline and Melissa. And Melissa has been in our live chat, and both gave a very generous monthly donation to help us. We're really sort of building steam on this Patreon, and I'm making plans also. Some of you may have heard this live stream that we did with Pragmagic, with Keats, just about music and songwriting. And I'm getting back to that after a long time away. I thought I could just walk away from the whole writing songs thing. I thought I emptied the well there's a 7-hour concept album that I released. That was my last major creative work musically. But the well has begun to fill up again. So shortly, I'm going to be releasing songs, and I'm going to sell an album on iTunes and a few other sites, a full-length album in time. I've just begun pre-production on it. But if you're a Patreon person, as soon as a song is done, I'm putting it on Patreon. So there's a lot of benefits, and and you can also follow me on Twitter. And also, I just want to mention this. I know it's a rough time out there in the world right now, which is why I'm on the internet begging for dollars. So listen, I get it. It's a rough time. You might not have $1 brother, can you spare a dollar? You might not be able to spare a dollar right now, but you can still support us. You can still help our show grow and succeed. And the best way to do that is to like, comment, and subscribe, and send our channel address to some friends. Help our show spread. Also, we've really got to get the watch time up. So if you've missed any previous shows, please watch them in their entirety. That would really be helpful. If you missed a show, hey, put it on the background while you, I don't know, clean your house. That's what I do sometimes. Or the big place that I listen to streams is when I'm driving. I have a 2-hour ride to the cabin, 2-hour ride back. So I try to pick a 2-hour stream, and I can catch up with some friends that are streaming or doing shows. That would be very helpful to get our watch time up right now. Just put it on while you're doing something if you can't pay total attention to it, and that will help us to get the watch time up. And we would certainly appreciate your help by liking, commenting, and subscribing, and sending the channel address to some friends. Also, I want to thank everybody who reached out to me about the recent show we did regarding all the YouTube crackdown stuff. I was feeling totally discouraged, and I was feeling very nervous about what I'm going to do going forward. And I just decided I'm going to do my show, and I'm going to try my very best. You know, we're going to be to the very best that we can be in compliance with all the terms of service, and try not to anger the AI algorithm gods. We worship you, YouTube AI algorithm gods. Please find favor with our show and help us spread our show and get higher in the search rankings. We agree with you. That's what you have to do. You have to just agree with them. We are guests here on YouTube. For those who aren't aware, too, we have a Twitch channel. It's twitch.tv/TruthSeekers Show. We've only got about 25 followers there. I'm told if we get 50, we're monetized on Twitch. So we only need 25 more of you to go over to Twitch. If you don't have an account, it only takes a few minutes to sign up. Please do sign up on Twitch. If for nothing else, just to follow us and help us out over on Twitch. Also, some of you are aware, you can watch the videos on Facebook, on my Facebook profile. They're posted each time we do a show. So we're transmitting to three different locations: Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. We're hopefully soon. I want to get the hardware situation straightened out. This computer is slowly falling apart that is sitting in front of me, and it has been for some time. I'm a typical computer guy, though. It's kind of like a mechanic whose car is always running real shitty because he doesn't have time to work on his own. I don't have time to work on my own computers sometimes, and I just let them slowly fall apart. Eventually, I'll pull the hard drive out and throw it in the trash and put the hard drive in another one and just roll on with my life. But we're going to be upgrading this computer, hopefully, to a 27-inch, really old iMac. I think it's like 8 or 9 years old, the one that I may buy secondhand. But that's all I need. I really just need the screen. And I've got a second monitor standing by and a Mac compatible USB. So we'll be able to have not just the 27-inch screen that I really need for my eyes, but we'll have that. I've already got the second screen. I've got a powered USB hub so we can run more webcams and a few other things. I really need to take a day and literally break all this stuff down. It's all a mess, and rebuild it all. But once I get the hardware situation straightened out, the next step is that we're upgrading to StreamYard Pro or Platinum, whatever they call it, and we'll be transmitting to more locations. I think we're going to go to Periscope and DLive and maybe Daily Motion and a few others, so we can spread the show to more locations. And that is all. Yeah, Lamont, I'm buying a second hand, and I think I've already got the money for that because it's really cheap. By the way, a few people on PayPal have literally just done that for me because, I'm broke and don't have any money, and it's December and I have 2 children, and like I couldn't justify really the expense of buying anything like, expensive, but I've got a lot of computer friends. So I asked around for a 27-inch iMac. Somebody's got one for like $150. I'm just a little short. But I'm almost there. So that's what I'm trying to upgrade to. Majorly, I just need that iMac screen because I found out that it's the best screen for my vision impairment, and it's the clearest. And I did some tests on a 24-inch, and I can read everything perfectly okay. I don't have to make anything bigger. That's just a little improvement, and also, like I said, I've got an extra screen that will connect into that iMac. So we're going to have one screen over here that's just going to be for the live chat. So when those things happen, like the microphone goes out, but I don't know because I'm not watching the live chat because we don't have the two screens. That'll solve that problem. I'll always have the live chat right in front of me and be able to monitor that. And the bigger screen in the iMac should help, with that dot pitch. It just should help me be able to read things. And I appreciate everybody. A few people gave, Jonaside gave a few donations this month. And a few people really gave big, like $50 donations. And that should cover this really old, but very usable to me, iMac that will allow us to just run the show better and me not struggle reading things. It's interesting, but with when I'm offline, I don't have the glasses on. Unfortunately, I look wonky, like my one eye's opening, one eye's closing. I don't have as much trouble without the glasses, but I look terrible with my half paralyzed eye on a webcam, struggling to read something. So I'm keeping the glasses and getting a better screen. And that should really, I think that's going to do it. And I'm looking forward to it. And I want to thank all of you guys who have contributed, because like I said, every dollar that I get goes back to the show to do, to do things better here and to try to improve, These little technical things like me not being able to read the screen don't seem like a big deal until you're right in the middle of a live show and you can't read the text of an article you're trying to share. Yes, and Six Design is absolutely right. Twitch TV is incredibly easy to sign up for, likely one of the easiest. Only takes a few minutes. Alien Scientist is here. Shout out to Alien Scientist. Smash that like button. Yes, please do. Charles Unleashed, I build my own from non-branded parts that nobody ever heard of, much cheaper and higher quality. Yeah, you could be right, but there is something to those iMacs with that higher dot pitch. I'm telling you, that screen is beautiful. I don't know what it is, but as soon as I saw one, I never was a Mac guy. And by the way, I'm going to be running the show from Altos, my own version of Linux. I'm not a fan of Mac operating system, any of them, ever. When I was in school, when I was a child, the first computer class that I ever took was on an Apple II, and I've hated Apple ever since that because those were shit. Oh, I haven't seen Corey No Good. Did it drive by thumbs downing? Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Let's take a look. This amuses me, but you know what? Nothing amuses me more than checking the thumbs down before the show starts. Like when the live stream just goes that when it's searchable, right? And to find out that we have not even started the show yet and gotten, a couple of thumbs downs. Nothing amuses me more than, okay, so we got 2 thumbs downs. That's not terrible. That's okay. So 2 people didn't like it and 23 people did. I want to thank everybody thumbs down in the videos. Thank you from the bottom of my heart, because what you dummies don't know is that YouTube doesn't care whether you like it or dislike it. They just count it as engagement, and I get points for that. So go ahead and thumbs down this shit all you like, especially before I start the show, because that just proves you're a dumbass. The show didn't even start yet, and you're already like, I'll tell him I'll say dislike before the show even starts. Fuck Steve Cambion. Yeah, fuck me. You're helping me disliking it. Thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. I love haters. Oh, God, I love them. I had them all my life. When are we going to do a show? Yeah, I apologize. We sort of had the date, and then we didn't get back together to really pan it out. I don't know about dates with you and Solar Marshall. I could do it anytime. Smash that dislike button too. Absolutely. Fuck the haters. Fuck them. Fuck them. Fuck them. And V, that's great. Embrace the hate. Yes, I know the power of the dark side, V. Absolutely, I embrace the hate. Yeah. Thank you very much, Jeanette F. I appreciate it. Now, if we could get 20, there's 35 people in the live chat. I'm pretty sure most of you have not followed me on Twitch. Really, it's not hard. There's 35 in the live chat right now. We had 50 earlier. People must have, you know what it is? It's so funny. I usually do the begging bowl at the end of the show, right? Like I do the show and then I do the begging bowl at the end, and people are starting to figure that out. And what happens is, as soon as I start the begging bowl speech, they go, "Oh, the show must be over." But surprise, surprise, I'm going to go for a little while longer, spend some time here with our live chat. And if you dropped off during the begging bowl speech, you're going to miss that fun. Terry, there's an about section of the or Six Design can give you the actual link to do the live. Hold on. I think I could get it. Let me see. I think I can get it and put it in the live chat for you. Let me see if I can do that. I will put the, yeah, anything we could do to help. Oh, wait a minute here. Copy. Let me get you that link. Wow, that's a big link. Okay, I'll get you the donate link here, and we'll put it right in the live, right into the live chat for anybody that would like to. And I sincerely appreciate it. I do want to thank. Here is I'm putting it in right now. That's the link to the. That's the PayPal donate button. So anybody that wants to, you just click on that link. You put in how much you want. Make sure you add a note and put your chat room user ID so that we can properly shout you out and thank you on air. And for those that don't know, occasionally somebody will give me a PayPal donation and I don't know about it because I'm not monitoring that closely enough. If you do, I shout them out on the next show. And that's how that works. That's the not so super chat donations. 1 second. Yes, Alien Scientists. I heard about this and I want to watch it. I've just been kind of busy. Yeah. I'm looking forward to watching that because you're going to have real scientists talking about these strange fringe topics and UFO propulsion and all this cool fringe science. And I love fringe science. It's one of my guilty pleasures. Moody Mongol. FYI, you can partition a Mac and simply install Windows on that. This way you can run either Mac OS or Windows on the Mac on the iMac at startup. Yes, I'm aware it's boot camp, right? I've done that for people, for customers actually. Meet my vibe. Hey Steve, we have there's somebody in the Twitch chat. Imagine that. Nice to see you there in the Twitch chat. Hi, meet my vibe. Good to have you here. And thank you for being in the Twitch chat. Jonaside is in the Twitch chat. He says, I'm a sponsor here too. Jonaside is a great supporter of the show. Shout out to Jonaside and thanks for your continued support and you're always helping. Jonaside's always trying to help. Lamont, I hate Twitch, but I'll go over there and sign up. Yeah, go over there and sign up and just click follow. Everyone helps, right? See, Terry, salad gets you thousands of algorithm points. Oh, yeah, I don't know if that PayPal link, that PayPal donate link button or link that I copied in the live chat doesn't work. Just go to the about section, about section of our channel, and there'll be a PayPal donate button, or you could up in the upper right hand corner of the main channel, you'll see a PayPal donate button and a Patreon up in the upper right corner. Oh, Jeanette, that's you. Okay. Alien scientists, so we can get these people who claim to have these machines to bring them down for testing. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. You want to test my crystal batteries? That's real free energy. It's a tiny amount, Jeremy. It's a tiny amount, alien scientists, but it's real. And that thing will make that tiny amount of energy for years on end. Yeah, here's the Truth Seekers About section. That's probably the best place to get the PayPal donate button. And again, it's the not so super chat donation. So add a note and then make sure that you give us your live chat room ID and then anything you want me to shout out. Lee Veltman wants to know if BS Alert Buddy has gotten their Google Employee of the Month yet. Oh, Employee of the Month. Yes, Twitch TV is incredibly easy to use and sign up. Yeah, and you might like some of the content over there. Jeanette F says that was her over at Twitch. Good to know. Okay. But now I'm somewhat less excited because I thought that was just some random person was in our live chat going, hey. I know, some people bounce back and forth. I hear the emojis over there are much better. Much better. That's what I'm told. So any questions or comments for me, please put them in all caps, or we'll be wrapping things up here shortly. Yes, and Six of Design says, congrats, alien scientist, on improving your studio lab and having the ability to do live experiments. Yeah, that's so exciting. So exciting, because it's one thing to do a recorded show, but the fact that you could test these things live on a broadcast is amazing to me. Like, that's going to be some good stuff. And this is well beyond my scientific knowledge. A tiny quantum effect multiplied 1 trillion times can become a non-quantum effect. If you say so, alien scientist, you're the physicist. I'm just a dumb monkey. You know what I'm good at? I'm good at computers. That's about it. That's probably my good skill in life, right? You're good at physics. I'm good at computers. I've just been a lifelong experimenter, sort of hacker type, though. I was terrible at the actual the education side of it, although I did have a 4.0 as a computer science student. But that was easy because I was basically going to like 13th grade. That's what we called, that's what we called Community College of Philadelphia, grade 13. It was really bad. Wasn't hard. You showed up, you got a, 3.5. Yeah, friends. So, we weren't going to cover this Galactic Federation, but I'm glad that we did, because now people could stop emailing me or asking me about it or tweeting about it to me or asking me when we're going to talk about it. It's a big nothing burger. The whole story is one big nothing burger. And we got to see the proof of that today. But I got to tell you that every idiot in UFO land is running with that story, and they all look like dumbasses now because it's totally taken out of context, totally wrong, totally fake. It's just not real. It's just not credible. And I knew that. That's why I didn't even want to cover it. I said, give it a few days. A friend that is also a content creator asked me what I thought about it. And I said, give it a few days and the story will be proven that it's fake, or there'll be something. There'll be something to totally discredit and blow that story completely to shit. And I was right. So, I think we did the right thing, and I could have covered it like, boy, aliens are real, and clickbaited the title and like really, yes, you're right, alien scientists. Everybody is sharing and talking about this story. Yeah, they're sharing it and talking about it as if it's real. And tonight we got to see that it's just totally taken out of context, nonsense. But that hasn't stopped the UFO hucksters from running with the story. Like, see, I was right about aliens all along, bro. No, you weren't. And this doesn't prove you were. This proves that you're an idiot that runs with any story that supports your fake arguments and your confirmation bias, right? They've all got it. They've all already decided all of this is real, and they just look for stuff that will support the conclusion they've already made. That's not research. It proves aliens are real. Yeah. Victor Sarge, I'm sold. Yeah, me too. I'm sold. Those aliens must be real. They must be real, friends. They must be. You gotta love it's right there for you to see, and not some David Wilcock hoax that has been ran a million times with no evidence and decades of hoaxing. Yeah. Either way, what I say is that if the aliens really are waiting for us to evolve our scientific understanding, I instead intend to assist in that endeavor regardless. Yeah, and I think that you're pretty credible because you look for actual evidence and you have for your whole life, you know. I've never seen you run with a clickbait nonsense story just to get clicks and views. Anything your kid wants for Boxing Day. What is Boxing Day? You mean Christmas? They're good. These kids got thousands of toys, Lamont, and my wife is. There has been a parade of the poor Amazon guy, right? It looks like every day there's a couple more packages, but I don't blame her because it's safer to just order it from Amazon than to go to a store and risk getting sick or getting infected or whatever. So I'm all for that. Yeah, Corbell ran with it, and then it seemed like he pivoted it as soon as he heard that it's kind of bullshit. And now he's like, oh, all these other journalists ran with the story, but it's not credible. So it is what it is. But at least I agree with V. Thanks to him, we know that the story is bullshit. He debunked his own bullshittery for once. Maybe he ought to try debunking the Bob Lazar bullshit that he's made thousands of dollars selling that bullshit documentary. Really? I don't remember you doing that, but I guess I am too. I don't know. But lately I just like, let's laugh at, and then a subject. There is most likely life out there. What it is and where it's at, who knows? Yeah, I agree. I absolutely agree. I think that if there's no, I've heard that saying before, and I totally agree with it. There are two possibilities. Either the Earth is the only species that evolved intelligent life in the entire universe, or the universe is teeming with life and other evolved alien species. And either possibility is a bit terrifying. Either way, it's a bit scary, right? You never know. Ooh, I'm gonna run with it because I'm that much. I'm a dirtball. I'm a dirtball. So we're gonna run with the joke. Moody Mongol joke. What does David Wilcox use for contraception? Answer: his personality. According to him, he's a rock star and he could bang all kinds of chicks at UFO conferences. Right? That's what he said. He's on record saying that. I'm like a rock star. I could bang all these chicks. Yeah. Have you ever been to a UFO conference? There ain't many chicks you'd want to bang, David Wilcock. Well, there's probably a lot of chicks he'd want to bang. It's like, you could be totally unattractive in the real world, but at a UFO conference, you're probably a 7 if you're just female and have a vagina because there's so few women. George Knapp is a huckster. Contacted him and he pulled the seniority card on me and acted like a child when I tried to get him to engage facts. Yeah, I think I did. I don't know, Lewis. Did I tell you this? Or I was just telling somebody else. He treated me like a child. Like he talked to me like I was a little boy and was an idiot, And it is what it is, though. It just is what it is. You never know. You never know what somebody. Whoa. Okay, friends, look at this. Wow. So we have a very nice shout out to Terry Joyce. And she gave a kind PayPal donation of $50. These look, man, I'm liking Christmas because that's the third $50 donation we've gotten this month. And guess what? The computer is $150 that I need to buy if I get the one that I'm hoping to get. We'll see tomorrow. And you put us over the edge there, Terry Joyce. Hope this gets your computer. Absolutely. If it doesn't get that one, it's going to get another one just as good. So thank you, Terry. You guys amaze me with your generosity, with your support, and I am really humble that so many people want to help us and support us here. V is right. It's called UFO Hot. Yeah, you and Terry are real hot though, just so we know, because you're in my live chat enough that I can say that and hopefully not get in any trouble with my wife, right? Yeah, you guys are regular hot, but at a UFO conference, you'd be smoking hot, both of yous. That's how that works. Wow, so I want to thank everybody for the kind and generous donations. That really means a lot to me. That is awesome. And yeah, we'll get that old iMac and we'll get it. I will refurbish it. I've already got some RAM chips for it, I think, to upgrade the RAM, and I've got a bigger hard drive, and those things are bitches to get apart. I used to work in a computer repair place, and every time somebody came in with an iMac, I would start cursing under my breath. Oh, fuck this iMac. If this is a fucking screen or a hard drive replacement, I'm going to lose my shit because you got to take this whole fucking thing apart, and it's going to take me hours to get this fucking thing apart and put it back to. Yeah, I hated working on them, but I'll do it. I would turn them away. I would say, you got to take this to the Apple store, bro. Yeah, it's just not worth it. He's right. I'm Victoria's Secret model hot at a UFO conference. I wouldn't doubt it because I've seen a few pictures of V, and she looks. I'm going to get myself in trouble if I say anything else. V is, I think she's probably Victoria's Secret model hot anywhere, but definitely at a UFO conference. You would be like the star of that place. There was a random supermodel walking around. She stopped and talked to us. She was probably a paid spokesperson or something, though, alien scientist. She wasn't just there, right? Oh, it's in LA. What can I say? Yes, Terry rocks. Thank you, Terry, for your generosity and your support. That means a lot to me. I really do certainly appreciate it. Hey, that's my shtick, Spooky. I'm late. What did I miss? Really? You missed us blowing apart this Galactic Federation story as being completely and totally not credible and making fun of David Wilcock, who ran with the story like it was real. But now we find out that the story is complete and total bullshit. It's regurgitated, out of context nonsense that this Israeli guy heard from his granddaughter, who heard it from Laura Eisenhower, a less than credible source of information. Really, V? Fuck. Everybody is beautiful in LA. I'm happy to help. Yeah, you know what it is, though? It's like every girl that's like a 9 in some small town goes to LA to become an actress or, make it, right, in Hollywood. So, of course, they've got a high concentration of hot chicks there, higher than any other place in the United States, probably, because every 8 or 9 hot chick in any small town in America may decide to go to LA to try to make it as a model or an actress. And I don't know, there's a lot of plastic women there, and I'm not a big fan of the plastic. I am not a big fan of the plastic. I don't like fake tits. I don't like lip injections. I don't like any of that stuff. But to each his own. If whatever floats your boat. I went to one and met a lot of people, including John Mack. Bud Hopkins rubbed my leg. Wait, Bud Hopkins rubbed your leg? That's a little creepy, right, Jeanette? Were you like, why are you rubbing my leg, creepy old dude? Hippy dippy Laura. Yeah, not a credible source of information. Listen, for those that don't know, Laura Eisenhower has been talking about all kinds of fucking wacky shit for 20 years. Nothing she's ever said, she's ever provided evidentiary support or any kind of real evidence. She just talks about wacky shit and aliens and gets paid to attend these conferences and talking about, wacky shit and never provides proof. This is true. They talk about this in the movie Swingers. Every homecoming queen. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, right? Terry, like every hot chick from every small town in America, right, thinks they're going to go there and make it big as a model or an actress. A lot of them end up in porn, and that's sad. LA was once not just the sort of Hollywood, starting off point, but it was also, at one point, it was the porn capital of the world. I don't know that it still is, given that, there's so many porn sites and there's not much money in porn anymore. Lewis wants me to do a story on Stan Dio, another huckster who has truly gone off the deep end. Funny you should mention that. I have a folder of stuff related to him, I believe, and we'll get to that. GS Crippler, a lot of surgically enhanced ladies. Yeah, they're absolutely in LA and Hollywood. There is more surgically enhanced ladies than probably anywhere else in the world. I just don't. Maybe it's like too many of them are too obvious, right? Like if you get really good plastic surgery, people shouldn't know that you had plastic surgery. But you get those big exaggerated fake lips and the butt implants and the boob job, and like it just doesn't look natural to me. I think a lot of them too look better before they get the work done. But to each their own. Like some people prefer natural looking women and some people prefer the exaggerated plastic Barbie, right? All right, we're going to go there again. When David Wilcock dies, why is his family going to bury him 50 feet deep? Answer, because deep, deep, deep down, David is a nice person. Oh man, that's terrible. The views and jokes expressed in our live chat do not necessarily reflect those of Spectral International, TruthSeekers, or its show host, Stephen Cambion. But it's funny. And I support everyone's right to tell jokes, especially making Mr. Wilcox the brunt of them. Have you ever done a story on PMax? Do you mean Peter Maxwell Slattery? Because yeah, we did a show, and we showed his raps and everything. Daniel from the Context was here, and from the Warped podcast, and we showed him doing his rap, and we had a good time. That was a fun show. Joker lips are awful. Yeah. I missed what Jeanette said. Yes, he was looking for scoop marks. Oh, is that the shtick? Jeanette, we need to check you for scoop marks. So let me rub your legs. Dude, some of these guys will try anything. That is terrible. Terrible. 1 second, friends. Something is beeping, and I just want to check in and make sure it's not. See if we can find out what it actually is. I gotta tell you, I love and hate technology. I love it when it works. Not so much when it's not working out for me. Messenger on a PC is awful lately. I don't know. I think Facebook changed it. Okay, somebody is just messaging me about posted a bunch of cabin pictures on oh yeah, you know what, we should do an update for that real quickly because people ask, and we will. I'm just going to share my Twitter. So people asked about the cabin earlier. I finally got the front wall of this. I finally got the front wall of this sunroom on the cabin up, which is a great thing. And I'll take this opportunity too to make fun of Daniel Hogan. No pizza for you. I'm the pizza Nazi. 1 second, friends. So I'm just sharing my Twitter. You can follow me at Stephen Cambion on Twitter. Let's see if we can't share this. Pardon the mess. I did clean the yard the next day. So here's the cabin. We finally got the last two windows and the door frame of the sunroom here. This is all construction zone mess, and it's so funny. I posted these pictures to like a cabin building forum, and some dude said something like, "It's kind of hard to appreciate your cabin with all the junk and trash in the front yard." And I said, "Maybe I need a woman like you to clean up after me because I've been busy building stuff, bro." And in my defense, I did clean it the next day, but I was excited having finally finished this front wall just about. I've got a little bit of fill to do with the cordwood. So this is, I should show you. This is the original cabin. This is the cordwood masonry addition that was all built out of logs and cement, and windows picked out of the trash. These were free windows. So this is the new sunroom here. This is the original cabin. Just keep kind of like modular, the modular approach. Just put another room on it. Put another room on it. That's what we're up to. We've got the sunroom. I've got to do some, I've got to do a little bit more fill here, but I just ran out of time. So that's just getting filled in with little rounds like is down here, and the front wall will be done. And I'm so happy that at least the front wall's in and the roof is on it. So very happy about that, and glad, that I can spend the rest of the winter if I can make it there. They're having a huge snowstorm this week, and then it's Christmas, and then it's New Year's. So I may not get back there for 3 weeks, and I got to tell you, I'm a little unhappy about that. And one more thing I will share just to annoy Dan Hogan. Shout out to Dan Hogan. This is me making fun of Dan Hogan. He gets upset every time I post a picture of the wood-fired cook stove and oven cooking pizza. So no pizza for you, Dan Hogan. And as I promised, I did. I did clean up the front yard of the cabin best I could. Looks much better without all the trash and the junk and construction materials. It's been a construction zone for quite some time. I can't tell you how happy I am to have that front wall up because it's been 30 outside, and it's no fun working on a cabin when it's 30 outside. I really enjoy every minute that I spend working on building this cabin, except when it's cold. When it's 30 outside, nobody wants to be outside. Nobody wants to do that. All right, let me catch up with the live chat. The context, Daniel is here. Good to see you. Shout out to the context. No, not new, different. I took my car to get inspected today, and I left my the amber vision kind of sunglasses that I usually wear in the car. These I hate because they're very heavy. And actually, you know what these are? I don't know if the camera can pick it up. Let me see. You see that little dot there? That's a camera. My wife calls these perv glasses. So if I want to, I can film people from the glasses, and it's got a little USB stick. These are really old though, and I don't even know if they still work. I use the camera in magic shows so that I could, for those who don't know, if you do a stage show or a theater show, you can't really absorb what's going on with the audience while you're doing the show. You're busy, you're thinking about the next trick that you have to do. And so I got these so that I could record the audience, and then I would get some feedback of what things people liked or clapped louder to. That's why I got these. And they just were sitting around here and I couldn't find my other ones. So, yeah, but these are like big Cyclops glasses. They're really heavy. And I guess because it's got all this electronics in there. And I may, Daniel, try to get a pair of these that can wirelessly broadcast, and that will be one of our camera views here. There's been on my list of things to try out, but I have not. Jeanette, I met the woman in his book, Witness the Broken Bridge abduction story. She looked like an ET. I've heard of that lady. That looks like an ET. You know, some people just look. BS. Long neck, tiny mouth with crowded teeth, and very slim. Peter Robbins was hitting on her. Yeah, maybe he wanted to do the nasty with the alien girl. I knew a girl growing up that was Jeanette. She was albino. And actually, I guess I dated her technically for a little while. Did I date her? Yeah, I hooked up with her. I don't think we were. I was like 15 or I was pretty young, but she was totally albino, white hair, white skin, and a little freaky looking, honestly. And but she was a really nice person. And to me, she kind of reminded me of an alien, sort of. And she told me a few times that she felt, you know, like an alien or a mutant, that's got to be a terrible thing to grow up with, being albino, because you're so totally different from everyone. And she was a bit vampiric, like she couldn't like go to the beach and stuff like that because her skin was so sensitive. So you know, we as I recall, we went to the movies a lot. Yes, I do have a Patreon. Thanks for reminding everyone. We'll check in with the that. Make sure that no one new signed up during the broadcast. If you sign up to Patreon during a live broadcast, we generally try and wait a minute, we might have one. We generally try and shout out new Patreon support. Daniel James, there you go, from the context, pledged $1 a month. Thank you, Daniel. That means a lot to me, especially because you're a fellow struggling content creator, journalist, writer, content maker. I really appreciate it. And December 11th, we had Ian. We had Jacqueline, December 10th, and Melissa, December 8th. Signed up for Patreon. So shout out to Daniel James, Ian, Jacqueline, and Melissa, new Patreon supporters. You have my gratitude, and I really do appreciate it. Every single person that gives $1 on Patreon, all the money goes to help making the show better and help keeping us helps keep the show going. Lamont says, it only makes me sad when you have a steak the size of my head. They're not that big. And listen, Lamont, my wife gives them to me. I have no control over the size. That T-bone was beautiful, though. It really was big. My wife just like sends me with food, and I don't even, I don't know where she gets these huge steaks, and I'm not going to ask her. It's delicious. It was delicious, though. Nice cabin. I'm jealous, but it does remind me of the one in Evil Dead. Have you watched that movie while staying there? No, but I got to do that. You're right. It does remind me of the Evil Dead cabin a little bit, right? A little bit. Yes, thank you, Eon, Jacqueline, Melissa, and Daniel, Six's Design. Remember to thank Daniel. We truly appreciate it. It's very nice of him. Another journalist covered it before Hopkins got involved. The UFO rubbish all came from Hopkins months later. Well, that's interesting. No worries, Stephen. Love your work. Yes, and Daniel, if you could come on again, I'd like to do a UFO update show because I'm disconnected. I'm not plugged into any of this anymore. I'm purposefully not paying attention tonight we covered this Galactic Federation just because it was revealed today that was basically out of context nonsense bullshit that came out of the mouth of Laura Eisenhower to that guy's granddaughter, who then repeated it to him, and he repeated it to a journalist. And so it's totally busted, not credible, not a real story, fake sensationalist, out of context quoting. They misquoted him. They didn't quote him right. Yeah, it's all bullshit. But you can come on and we can talk about the bullshit because you're still connected. I know you are, Daniel. And I don't blame you. I was for years. I couldn't get enough. I had to digest everything I could find. And I could not stop. Lately, I've been able to stop to just say, unless there's something really important that has evidence that, you know, is not a waste of my time, I'm just going to disconnect from most of this stuff. Hey, there we go. New sub to Mr. Context, like the P. Maxwell Slatery video. Yeah, he came on my show too and talked about it. He has a great video on that P. Max. Just great to see some UFO clown rapping and shit. You know, he's P. Max, bro. It was funny. That was a fun show. Oh, there you go. And there's Pragmagic is here. Really enjoyed our chat last week. Thanks, bro. Yeah, it was my pleasure. I really felt like we explored a lot of stuff about songwriting. I'm getting back to that again, or trying to. And it was fun talking to another songwriter, especially because you and I, Pragmagic, we think a lot alike in certain. We're very different musically, but we think a lot alike about the creative process and how songs, you know, come to us and are translated to the recorded side. And you like a lot of layering and sound effects, and so do I. So, and the context, Daniel, yep, that sounds great, mate. Yeah, let's do that. We could do it this week or weekend. I'm home from the cabin for a few weeks, and I have a feeling I'll be pumping out a lot more shows because I'm not going to be working on the cabin for probably 3 weeks now. Told the kids they would be on TV while grooming them with his narrative for 2 months. Wow, I got to hear about that because I like, see, that's another thing. I like that story of those kids in Africa that saw that alien. And then he comes to find out, might not be a credible story. Somebody might have groomed those kids to talk about that stuff. But in the Phenomenon movie, they talked to him, you know, it's 20 years later now, and they all stood by their story. So who knows if that story is real or not? Maybe we'll do a show on that story. It's a great story. And it's part of the mythos, right? And that's what we do here, investigate the mythos and find out if it's fact or fiction whenever possible. So friends, I am going to bow out here. I really want to thank everybody again who has donated, especially this month has been our best month for donations. And we're going to get a 27-inch and older, but you know, I'm a computer guy. I can work on it. I can upgrade it. I'm going to put an SSD and more RAM in it. So we're going to get this 27-inch iMac, and I've got another screen, and we're going to be upgrading all our hardware, doing multiple camera views too. And I've got new intros and exits that are in the works. Honestly, the ones we use now were kind of thrown together quick because I had to get the show going. So I've got ones that, like, some of them have like Skinny Bob and Patty, the famous Bigfoot footage, and I think they're much better and they're higher quality. So we're going to start running those. I got to get the hardware upgraded first. I hopefully do that in the next few days. I got to pull everything down from here and rewire everything more permanent, because right now everything is a ramshackle mess of temporary. Like, this light is sitting on top of like a can. That's my stand, a can, like a tuna fish can almost. You know, like, because it had to be a little higher. Like, everything here is so temporary. We're going to get things nailed down with the hardware, and then I'm going to work on the software and get things going as far as multi-streaming to more locations. So we've got a lot of plans here. Thank you all for being with me. My friends, I always say this. I'm always happy when there's an audience. Ask any artist, any performer, anybody that does anything creative. The worst thing is when you work very hard on something and then you show up and nobody showed up to see it. I'm very grateful here that there's at least always an audience here. And I'm so happy that you all could be a part of mine. I'm grateful for you being here and want to thank you for being part of the journey with me. Until next time, friends, my name is Stephen Cambion. Good night, and God bless all of you.